Hi, I'm Zinnia, and I'm here to kill a few birds with one stone. Um, really, I like to read and write, but I'm here to do some fun writing things today. I have about an hour that left this afternoon before the long weekend starts with my kids. So I wanted to do a writing exercise and actually start the writing challenge that I keep alluding to and never actually presenting. So here's what we're going to do. I've been wanting to do some writing that's not long form novel, that's not in the genre that I'm used to writing in, which is horror or dystopian or just spooky and weird in general. And I also would like to play a little bit with the new characters that I've been developing for my third manuscript. So, yeah, what I'm going to do, I can accomplish all of this just with one thing by presenting this writing challenge. It's on my website, and I will share the link with you if you want to participate. The great thing about this is that literally anyone can do it. It takes very little time commitment, and it's really very adaptable to whatever you want it to be. So, yeah, let's take a look. Here we go. So, I'm going to maybe cover my face just for a minute so you can see more of it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, and I know my website looks like it was made by a teenage girl in about 1998, and that is kind of the vibe like of my life. So as you can see, I gave it a really unique title, the Take 5 Writing Challenge, and that is exactly what it is. So a it is a writing prompt generator that will basically just give you 5 variables and you can do with them whatever you want. And basically, the rules of the challenge is that, as I wrote down here, you can see what I wrote. The rules of the challenge are that there aren't any rules, which is the kind of thing I really like. It's really the goal is just to stop writing the stuff that you're used to writing and try something new and get yourself out of a rut. Um, you don't have to love it. You can trash it. You could put it away and never look at it again. But the point of the exercise is just to kind of touch something new and get your hands dirty with something new and spark ideas that you might not have come to on your own. This could be really good for writing like in the crevices of your life, between chapters or between manuscripts, between short stories. Also, just in periods of time when you're sitting around and waiting. Because, yeah, you could do this on your phone. It's really easy. So, although I just said that it's kind of like a throwaway, you don't have to love it, there's a chance that you will run across an idea that's really good and that you'll keep and you'll develop into something bigger. Um, so, yeah, I would recommend maybe reusing a character from your work in progress. That way you don't have to like brainstorm new characters, or you could like make it like a fanfic and like steal a character that you know from like a favorite book or movie or whatever. Um, Ideally, you wouldn't be editing this while you're writing it, but if that's your process, that's your process. But try not to think too much about it. Like, treat this like a writing sprint and just write. Um, if the prompt that the generator gives you, if it's something that you just absolutely hate and like are not inspired by, just click it again. Like, nobody's watching, there are no rules. Like, you're not, the point is not to be constrained by the prompt, the point is to be liberated by the prompt. Um, and also, I would love, love, love it if anybody does participate in this besides me. I would love it if you share your work with me. Um, I really do like to read like everything. I read various genres. I don't really like romance. I don't really like family sagas. I don't really like just things that are a little too sappy, but I'll make an exception. If you send me something that's in one of those genres, I'll still read it and I'll probably still like it. So you could email it to me. I put my email address that's attached to my website here. You can DM me on Instagram. Um, and if a few people, if just a few people send me writing samples, I could make a video later and read the anonymized samples and kind of talk about them. But that's just a like what if, what if. Anyway, even if nobody participates with me, I'm still gonna have fun doing it. So yeah. let's have a look here. So what am I going to get? Really is the question. Okay. I'm kind of excited and nervous, and this is my own thing. Okay. This will definitely work. And it's flash fiction, so super short. So as you see, these are the five sort of categories or five pieces to the prompt, hence the name, Take Five. So the audience, we have adult literary. There are a lot of different audiences in here, ranging from children's all the way up to different, like I have adult commercial, adult literary, new adult, YA. Yeah. And then the form, flash fiction. This one's going to be short, just a few hundred words. Mystery. Yeah, okay. I've been reading some mysteries lately, and I talked a lot about this, a mystery that I would like to write that's like a Dust Bowl time slip mystery. I'm going to stick with the character that's from my work in progress that I am currently plotting. So I'm going to keep my main character from that. And then the period is the 90s, which yeah, love the 90s. I grew up then. That's kind of the time I know best. And the quality is dark. And that is really close to what I write anyway, but we're just going to go with it. So I'm going to do a little copy, copy, paste to bring that over here. Let's get rid of this tab. Can we get rid of any of this stuff? Let's move this up here. All right. That's a little bit better. And let's make it so we can actually see that stuff. Okay. So in terms of adult literary, so I'm going to be going for like a lot of figurative language here. I might play a little bit with, well, playing with form in a flash fiction is going to be kind of hard, but we can see about that. And I have not like firmly settled on a name for my MC. So I think I'm going to pick a name that feels really 1970s so that the character in the 90s will be in her 20s. I think that that makes sense. Let's go with Michelle. Michelle feels pretty 70s here. And mystery. Okay. So what am I going to have Michelle doing? And where are we going to start out? What's really and the thing is that this does not give a setting. That's one of the elements that I thought about including, and then I was like, let's leave the setting open. Each writer can kind of determine their own setting. So I think, what's the most 90s setting possible? Either a house party or the mall. Those are the two things that I think of when I think about the 90s. I guess also a rave. Um, a rave. A rave. And the thing about flash fiction is that you do want to have kind of an arc as much as you can in such a short thing. I've been reading a little bit of flash fiction, so I feel like I have a little bit of inspiration in mind of how to come at this, but it's a totally new thing. I've never written anything like this before. Um, I guess I just need to write and just get started. Okay. Yeah, let's do an after hours mall, and the main character is there because somebody called her. Yeah. That's Somebody called her house phone and told her to come to the mall. That's the most 90s thing that could happen. Let's do third person. I don't write much. I'm writing third person in my new work in progress, third person past tense, and I'm going to kind of work in that area. Um, Is it Nordstrom singular? Maybe. Um, because I'm from the Midwest and we just put an S on the end of all of businesses. Yeah. Okay. Around at the corner, wheezing slightly, the bank of peso. Here, I kind of want. Okay, I'm gonna stop and talk a little bit because I've just been writing. So in that first paragraph, I tried to set a little bit of a scene up and kind of tell the reader like why we're here, maybe. And I wanted to throw in some like 90s references. So the girl power thing, I feel like that was such a big theme of the 90s that, and sisterhood, and like, yeah, this is what we were all being fed through like 17 magazine, Cosmopolitan, and like the Disney Channel. Um, and also the fact that I feel like the late night reruns of I Love Lucy are kind of iconic for kids who grew up in the 90s, like Nick at Night. Like, this is something that, yeah, I feel like these are relics of that time. Um, then I kind of want to add a little bit of tension because this is supposed to be a little bit dark, and I feel like having an echoing noise in an empty mall, a little bit dark, a little bit maybe not scary, but just a little creepy. Um, and then we she's getting distracted kind of by the sound, but she's like, "What about that girl that called me?" And then here we're getting another 90s reference of the bank of payphones. Yeah, they're metallic, like, but here I want to get kind of, I want to, this is not very literary, obviously. This is coming out quite commercial, which is fine. I'm still kind of, I want to play with this character a little bit, and I'm not getting a ton of characterization yet. So I want to think a little bit more about how she would react in this situation. Um, yeah, I think my main character from my book is kind of whiny and kind of bratty, but hopefully still likable. We'll see. So yeah, I wanted, but coming back to what I was saying, this is not very literary at this point, but I want to think about like some imagery that I could do here. How can I describe this bank of payphones in kind of an unexpected way? Um, okay. I wrote a whole paragraph and it keeps. Okay. Let me refresh the screen capture here. Okay. There's the next paragraph we have here. I like that 90s reference because in the 90s everything was about Titanic. And yeah, like this kind of ghostly sunken underwater thing. I feel like that works in this like after hours nighttime mall. So that's okay, that's a little bit fun. Um Still not literary. I don't think this is going to come out literary. Because literary and mystery exists, but I think that's hard to do. Anyway, let's go with commercial instead. Um, the grammar's not great on the sentence. I think it works in this context. It might not be perfectly grammatically correct, but I'm not prescriptive in that way. Okay, and let's just drag this on down here so we can see more of the text. Okay, so I feel like chilling my marrow is a little bit expected. Maybe that's something that I would write as kind of the placeholder and then come back later. If I were writing this in like a manuscript draft, I would come back and try and um, flesh that out a little more or make that a little bit less obvious in revisions. Um, but I've got a few more 90s things in here, and now we're kind of getting to the meat of what this is about, like the voice on the phone calling her down to the mall because she has some information about who took another girl. So we've got kind of a mystery set up where like the main character is investigating the disappearance of her friend. Is this a mystery or a thriller? It's both. It's a mystery thriller. Um, and yeah, now we're trying to find this girl who says she knows something. Yeah, I think that that kind of works. I think they're hairdressers. Let's make them hairdressers. Okay. So work hadn't been the same. Let's say the salon. They're going to be doing a lot of 90s perms. The salon hadn't been the same without Jessica. It's short. It is short, but that's okay. That's all I really wanted to do for this video was write just like a few hundred words on screen. Okay, I'll read it now. The flashlight beam skittered over the metal grates in the still dry fountains. Michelle had never visited the mall after closing time, and she wouldn't have been there at all that night if it weren't for the panic in the stammering voice on the other end of the line. Nothing but girl power and sisterhood could have dragged her out of her cozy pajamas and away from late night reruns of I Love Lucy. It had to mean something. Three clunks reverberated through the cavernous space. It was impossible to discern their direction. A night security guard on patrol or workers slamming pallets around to feed the commercial appetite of the Kansas City suburbs were the obvious culprits. But what about the girl on the phone? I rounded the corner, wheezing slightly. The bank of payphones outside of Nordstrom glinted dully, like the brushed metallic interior of a submarine prowling the wreck of the Titanic. I whirled around, desperate for any sign of her. The her whose warbling chilled my marrow through the tangled, curly cues of my kitchen phone. She had to be here. This couldn't be a trap, and it hadn't just been her voice that sent me scrambling into my car. It was her promise. She knew who had taken Jessica. The salon hadn't been the same without Jessica. Hair still wisped across the tile, and the chemicals still stung my nostrils as always, but her empty station and lifeless chair kept my mind keenly processing her absence. Her clients called only to be directed to a different stylist. I had to find her. Not for me, not for the girls with grown-out roots and flattening waves, but for her, for Jessica. I flashed the cone of golden light around, zigzagging and rebounding off glass, tile, and metal. Trapped in the kaleidoscope of retail, I felt exposed to the night that crept against the edges of my flashlight beam. Retreating toward the hallway leading to the restrooms, I glimpsed a shimmer of body glitter. She'd been here all along. Not Jessica, but the girl on the phone, though it seemed that whatever information she'd had to share with me would stay with her forever. Okay, this got real dark, real murdery. Now there are one dead girl, one missing girl. Maybe this is actually a thriller. It could be a mystery still. I mean, thrillers have mysteries in them. Anyway, that was kind of fun. I didn't get a ton of characterization in there, though. I feel like with flash fiction, maybe it's kind of hard. But we don't really get the whininess that I associate with my new main character. But there's no dialogue. I think that's part of it. But yeah, maybe next time I'll try to write something that has a little bit of dialogue in it. But yeah, this was a fun little first attempt for me at writing some flash fiction, some really short fiction. And yeah, I think I will continue to do this. I might not do it every day. I might try and do this a couple times a week just to kind of break out of the writing projects that I'm currently working on. This would also be really fun to continue doing while I'm in revisions on my, like after I finish drafting my third manuscript. When I go back to revisions on my second manuscript, I'm going to need something to write that's not that book, because that book is really heavy emotionally and incredibly dark. So I'm going to need some kind of fun little outlet as I work on that project. But yeah, I hope that that was somewhat interesting for you, and I hope that you will join me over here to kind of click that button and see what kind of things you get. Anyway, I gotta go. I got some other things that I need to be working on here today. Got a class coming up. Okay, catch you later. Bye.